What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for AnimeUproar, and today I will be breaking down the crazy new events in the Boku no Hero story, including Deku's new power and the further evolution of his quirk, all for one's terrifying true intentions and the possible end of the epic war arc that has been raging for the better part of the past year. There is so much to discuss and dive into, so let's do it. If you enjoyed the Boku no Hero content here on the channel and you want us to keep it going, please leave a like to let me know. It really does help. And if you happen to be new to AnimeUproar, or maybe you just haven't subscribed yet, make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. It's annoying, but you really have to go through the trouble of hitting that bell and then selecting that option that says all. If you don't do that, you're still gonna miss a ton of our videos. It's just how YouTube works. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. Finally, this video will contain Boku no Hero manga spoilers, so please proceed with caution. You have been warned. The previous installment of the story left off with Mr. Compress's big gamble. Compress decided to sacrifice his life in order to allow Shigaraki and the other villains to escape from the heroes. This turn of events implied that the big battle between heroes and villains in Deku was about to end because the villains were about to retreat. I was skeptical about that because, for example, Toga hasn't really done anything major except for her brief encounter with Ochako, but the latest chapter does seem to confirm the retreat. Although a bunch of twists and turns definitely occur along the way, including Deku unlocking yet another quirk, and All for One possessing Shigaraki's body and revealing his sinister true intentions. The chapter starts off with Deku looking like the poster boy for 2020. This has definitely been a rough year for all of us, so Deku's face right here is absolutely #relatable. Deku had passed out as a result of Dabi's massive heat wave, and when he comes to, Deku is worried about Shoto's well-being. After all, Deku loves to worry about others even though he himself looks like he is in horrible shape. But to be fair, Shoto was just dropped by a massive attack from Dabi, so Deku wasn't the only one worried. Shoto is injured, but thankfully he is alive and he is conscious. In the very next moment, Deku feels a sharp pain in his head, and Deku concludes that this must be another one of his hidden quirks. This must be Danger Detection, which had once belonged to the fourth One for All user. This quirk seems to basically give Deku a spidey sense, the ability to sense imminent danger before it actually occurs. This makes a lot of sense because in the past, Horikoshi said that Spider-Man is one of his main inspirations in terms of what a hero should be. And so, it isn't too surprising that Horikoshi would give Deku a quirk like Black Whip, which allows him to move kinda like Spider-Man, and a quirk like Danger Detection, which gives him a spidey sense. With that said, since this quirk is only being revealed now, we can't say for sure whether spidey senses are its only application. Maybe this quirk can also boost Deku's other senses or something along those lines. Or maybe the quirk has some other potentially useful applications like seeing into the future for a few seconds or something like that. Personally, I do believe that there is more to this quirk than just a spidey sense, because we can't forget that All Might had scribbled out some of the notes about the fourth One for All user and his quirk. That really makes me wonder what exactly those notes said and what made All Might want to scribble them out. Was he afraid that if Deku knew this information, he would push the quirk too far and hurt himself in some way? Does this quirk have some sort of negative side effects that we still don't know about? If it turns out that this quirk just gives Deku a spidey sense and warns him about imminent danger, then let's face it, it won't be as cool as the other quirks, although it definitely will be useful in battle. But again, I personally do think that there is more to this quirk and we are going to get more information sometime in the future. Meanwhile, the severely injured Mr. Compress is attempting to protect Spinner and the unconscious Shigaraki from Mirio. Even though realistically speaking, Mr. Compress doesn't stand a chance against Mirio in a one-on-one, he does have a plan. When the villains first arrived in Deku on the back of Makia, Compress noticed that a bunch of powerful Nomu were congregating in a location that isn't too far away. So, if Shigaraki can regain consciousness, even for just a moment, he could theoretically order the Nomu to come there and help them escape. Compress's plan is to buy Spinner as much time as possible in the hopes that Spinner will be able to wake Shigaraki up. Compress basically plans to act as a diversion until Shigaraki comes to. Compress also tells Spinner that he has hidden Dabi within his scarf, so when they escape, Dabi will escape with them. Spinner is trying different things to wake Shigaraki up, and he pulls out one of the charred, disembodied hands from Shigaraki's former villain costume. He places that hand over Shigaraki's face because he remembers Shigaraki saying that the hands help him feel at peace. And that is especially true for the father hand in particular. So I'm assuming that Spinner wants to use the hand to snap Shigaraki into action. This actually seems to work as Shigaraki appears to wake up. He opens his eyes and his awakening creates a huge shockwave that blows Mirio and the other heroes back. I was thinking that Shigaraki might be using that air blast and radio waves quirk combination again, something that he had also used earlier on in this fight. And in that moment, all the Nomu turn towards Shigaraki at the same time, and Shigaraki appears to begin speaking. However, we quickly realize that this isn't Shigaraki at all. Rather, it is actually All For One, who has taken over Shigaraki's body now that Shigaraki is unconscious. All For One seems to imply that the more emotional Shigaraki becomes, the stronger All For One's hold on Shigaraki will also become. So basically, the more Shigaraki hates the heroes and the hero society, the more influence All For One will be able to exercise over Shigaraki's body. All For One then uses the radio waves quirk to send detailed instructions to the Nomu, and all the Nomu instantly rush in the direction of Shigaraki. The Nomu arrive on the battlefield, grab Shigaraki and Spinner, and begin to make their escape. When Spinner says that Compress and Toga have been left behind, All For One doesn't seem too concerned. His priority is Shigaraki, or more specifically, Shigaraki's body, and he doesn't really seem to care about Shigaraki's comrades. If anything, if his friends were left to die, Shigaraki would become even more angry, and this appears to be exactly what All For One wants. All For One says that Shigaraki has been defeated by One For All and Endeavor because his body wasn't ready to take them on. His body wasn't perfected because the procedure was cut short. But in time, Shigaraki's body will be perfected and the score will be settled. All For One wants Shigaraki to escape and recover so that the procedure on his body can be completed and so that he can become as strong as possible before fighting the heroes again. This is something that he's been trying to convince Shigaraki to do for quite a few chapters now, but Shigaraki refused to leave the battle. Naturally, the heroes desperately want to prevent Shigaraki's escape and they all attempt to stop him. The heroes know that if a villain this strong and this dangerous is allowed to get away, countless people will eventually suffer at the hands of Shigaraki. Even Deku, who is clearly in no shape to fight, tries to use Black Whip through his mouth once again in order to restrain Shigaraki. But he fails, and All For One tells Deku that they will meet again once Shigaraki's body is perfected. As All For One in Shigaraki's body repels Deku's attack and blows him back, Deku realizes something. Even though Shigaraki has killed a lot of people and this is a sin that can never be forgiven, in the moment when he was being swallowed up by All For One, Shigaraki's face actually looked like he was asking for help. And that is how this insane chapter ends, with Shigaraki / All For One, Spinner and Dabi apparently escaping with the help of the Nomu. At the same time, other heroes including Burnin are arriving on the scene, and the aftermath of the battle is absolute carnage. The city of Jakku has been reduced to rubble, and so many heroes and hero students are severely injured or worse. Deku, Bakugo, Endeavor, Shoto, and so many others are injured, exhausted, and incapacitated. And even though we don't know the full story yet, it is clear that many people, both heroes and civilians, died during this arc. Some died during the destruction of the hospital, like the shield hero Crust. Others died during Machia's destruction of the city and other cities that he passed through on his way to Jakku, and others died at the villain mansion. Now that the dust is settling, it is clear that the hero society will never be the same again. The heroes can't just explain away this massive nationwide villain attack. The heroes clearly failed to protect the people, which is their primary job, and that will have massive consequences for the entire world of Boku no Hero. Once we actually have a final conclusion for this arc, I will definitely make a video talking about the implications of this insane war on the future of the story. But in terms of this chapter, the biggest things that I am wondering about is this new quirk that Deku just unlocked, All For One's true intentions for Shigaraki, and what will happen to Mr. Compress and Toga if they really are going to get left behind. Let me know what you guys think. Is there more to Deku's new quirk beyond just sensing imminent danger? And why did All Might cross out some of the notes about this quirk and its user? Also, did this chapter just confirm that All For One was manipulating Shigaraki the entire time and trying to take over his body and use it as a vessel? I feel like this chapter definitely implied that All For One has just been grooming Shigaraki so that he can use him as a vessel. That everything is for my sake instead of everything is for your sake was a big clue in my opinion. But in the past, All For One definitely did act fatherly towards Shigaraki, so what do you guys think? Is Shigaraki, despite being a villain, also a victim of All For One? And what will the events of this chapter mean for the relationship between All For One and Shigaraki? Finally, what is going to happen with Toga and Mr. Compress? Is Compress going to die? And is the war arc really going to end without Toga actually doing anything big? After all of that build-up about her awakened quirk, I find that hard to believe, but who knows? Don't forget to share your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more Boku no Hero content right here on the channel, please leave that like, it really does help. And if you're new to the channel, or maybe just haven't subscribed yet, make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. Big thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons for making videos like this one possible. Special thank you to Alpha Sigma, a disciple of Lord Twigo himself. And I can't forget all of our The One tier patrons, the ones who rise above all other clans, including Ingrata, The World, A Quiet Respect, Liam Thompson, Pate Heffa, Rathian YX, Phoenix Anime 987, Emperor Otaku, Thomas Jones, Spidey Life Danelle, Baked Buddhist, Tungsten Tarkus, and Denki Kaminari. Finally, thank you also to our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Steelers, Angel Cruz, Anatoly Kazatsky, Cricket XP, Joe Stanton, Very Gucci, Jessica Calafond, Alicia Octer, Bonnie Parks, Hinokami and Water, The Red-Haired Raven, Florian, Joanne Garcia, Jack Watches Anime, Fatboy Games, Deadly Saint, Matthew Cruz, and Anthony Schreiber. If you enjoy our videos and you feel that they provide value for you, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Even a single dollar gives you access to our patron-exclusive Discord, and your name will appear in our videos, along with these legendary people. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.